Rest first, work later. I believe God designed us for a different rhythm. The rest hard, work easy rhythm. God completes things that you haven't completed. God puts the pieces together in ways that you could not have done. The best thing I could do for my leadership is to stop chasing this perfect work-life balance and start leaning into rhythms. Life isn't designed to operate that way. You are created for relationship and you are created for rhythm.
This is The Deep Dive with Jose St. Phard.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. I'm your host, Jose St. Phard, and this is the podcast for leaders, dreamers, and changemakers who want to make a lasting impact in the church, in business, and in culture. Today, we're tackling the elusive work-life balance. I know that, like you, I have been chasing after this idea of having a perfect balance at work, in life, being a present husband, a present father, and a present leader. And often it is so difficult and aggravating and frustrating to get to this perfect work-life balance. And what I've realized is that this is just an illusion. We were never meant to have work-life balance. We were, however, created for a proper work-life rhythm. And that's what we're going to talk about today: rhythm versus balance. In Ecclesiastes 3, it says, "For everything there is a season." For everything, there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven. There is a time for everything. There's a time when spring hits and there's a time for winter. There's a time for summer and there's a time for fall. Everything has a season. And you're designed to follow that same rhythm of rest and work. So God intentionally created seasons, not balance. Balance suggests that we must be both hot and cold at the same time, which is impossible. We don't have leaves falling and flowers blooming at the same time. Life isn't designed to operate that way, and neither are we. Life isn't designed to operate that way, and neither are we. God made us to honor rhythms. There'll be times of intensity at home and times of intensity at work. There'll be moments where you're putting more energy and actively engaging at home, and there'll be moments where you have to put that same energy at work. There are moments where you have to lean in at home, and there are moments where you have to lean in at work. And this idea of work-life balance is somehow, some way I can do both so that I don't feel guilty in any way that I'm missing out at home, or I'm missing out at work, or I'm missing out in this. And one of the things I've realized is that the best thing I could do for my leadership at home and at work is to stop chasing this perfect work-life balance and start leaning into rhythms. Rhythms. What does that mean? In Ecclesiastes 3, Solomon states it this way. He says, he describes the rhythm of life. There is a time for everything. And he says a time to plant and a time to uproot. There's a time to plant. That is a time to put in the energy, to put to work and to put energy into it. And there's a time to uproot. There's a time that you have to take back, to lean back and lean away. There's a time to build and a time to embrace, a time to work and a time to rest. There's a time for everything. In verse 11, it says that God has made everything beautiful in its time. And here's what that means to me. That means that because there's a time for everything and there's a season for everything, that when we rely on God, when we rely on God's leadership in our own leadership, and David did this well. David would constantly call God the king, even though he was the king. And David relied on the leadership that God provided in his life. When you do that, here's what happens. God makes things beautiful that are messy. God completes things that you haven't completed. God puts the pieces together in ways that you could not have done. That is life. This is what leading with faith means, that you are not the one putting it all together. You are not the one accomplishing it all. You are not the one grinding and working to the point of exhaustion so that something could be perfect or something could be exactly the way you want it. You believe and you trust that God will make things beautiful in its proper time. One of the first strategies I want you to think about when we're talking about work-life balance and actually creating a work-life rhythm is to switch the mode, switch the order of things. We talk about work hard, play hard. In other words, after I've brought myself to complete exhaustion, now I have earned the right to rest. If I've done a lot of work, I've put in a lot of energy, now I can play hard. And here's what I believe. I believe God designed us for a different rhythm. I believe God designed us for a different rhythm. The rest hard, work easy rhythm. See, God desires that our lives are productive. He wants us to be fruitful. He wants us to come out and accomplish great things. God desired great things to come out of us. And in the creation story, we see that. We see God creating incredible things, light coming out of darkness, the waters separating, from the firmament to the ocean. I mean, we see the waters teeming with animals and life, and the skies filled with birds, and the planets are flung from one place to the other, and the sun is there, the moon is there. All of that coming out of a rhythm of rest and work. Each day, it would say there was evening and there was morning the first day. There was evening and there was morning the second day. There was evening and there was morning the third day. Each day, each new day started with evening. That is, it started with rest. And then out of that rest, God would do work. It was rest first, work later. So rest is restorative. And then he creates a seventh day. And the seventh day is he creates a day of resting, a 24-hour period where we can unplug. I want you to hear me, leader. I want you to hear me, mother, father. I want you to hear me. It's okay to unplug. The world will not stop if you unplug. Your job will still be there if you unplug. Your family's still going to be there if you unplug. It's okay to unplug. That's the first strategy that's important in work-life rhythm. You must learn to unplug. God, the creator of the universe, in his creation story, he would do one thing. Let there be light. And then the next thing you see, there was evening and there was morning the first day. He would do one thing and rest. But it was out of the rest that he worked. And do you know why? Listen, do you know why when you're in the shower, all these amazing ideas come to you? Like you're doing a lot of things. No great ideas come. You're in the shower, all of a sudden there's this whole thing called shower thoughts, because that's the first time your mind is at rest. That's the first time your mind is at ease. And so I need you to understand the importance of this rhythm. Rest, then work, because it is out of resting that you are restored. It is out of resting that you are replenished. It is out of resting that you find the ideas for how to move and how to work. So if I create a new rhythm of my life, I schedule the rest first. When am I going to do something that feeds me? When am I going to do something that allows me to rest? What is it that restores me? Is it prayer time? Is it worship time? Is it a walk in the park? Is it time with my family? That is where it starts. I remember a mentor of mine completely shifted my schedule. I mean, this was radical for me. I used to take my days. I would have my days and I would just, line up all the meetings and all the activities that I had to do. And he would say to me, man, you're always tired. You're always busy. You're always this. And I said, man, there's just so much to do. And he said to me, I want you to take your calendar and schedule your time of resting first. Time with Tiffany. That's my wife. Schedule that. Time with your kids. Schedule that. And then around that, schedule your work. It completely shifted my mind. Now, many of you don't have probably the autonomy to really manage and maneuver your schedule, but I would hope that you can take this moment and create a rhythm where you can intentionally put the time of resting first and schedule your rest. Now in the creation story, in the Old Testament, there's a schedule. There's a schedule already defined that there's a seventh day where there is a moment of Sabbath that is set apart for God's people to spend time. Now, that's something I practice in my own life. I practice this idea of Sabbath, this idea of resting and moving life out of resting, that we actually bear more fruit out of our rest than we do our work. I believe if we honor this idea of rest and work, it'll make us more creative. It will allow us more time to be restored. It will give us more time to think through what are our priorities. Okay, so that's the strategy number 2. Strategy number 1 is shift the culture, shift the rhythm, not work hard, play hard, but rest hard, work easy. Rest hard, work easy. And so schedule that out. The next thing is prioritize. I want you to think of what are the 3 things I can do this week? What are the 3 things I can do this week at home? What are the 3 things I can do this week at work that will move the needle? Maybe towards a project, maybe towards something that you've been trying to accomplish with the family. What are the things that I can put in that I could do? Man, if we can, in my own life, we were trying to manage some things. If I can get this list of things that needs to get done around the house done, man, I could get. If I can get 2 of these things done, then it will drastically change how we operate in the home. Prioritize that. 3 things each week. What are the 3 things I can do? Okay. And that's a lot. I would even go to what is the 1 thing I can do this week that can really move the needle in my work and in my personal life. Then focus on deep work instead of shallow work. So focus on the deep work. Okay, what are things that I can do that I can prioritize, that I can put a lot of intense work into it for next 1 to 2 hours. Schedule that time, because if it's not scheduled, it's not going to get done. Recognize when you're most productive. And so leverage those hours. If you're most productive at night, if you're most productive during the day, leverage those hours. Take those hours and put in all your hard, deep work in those moments. And that allows you to do some of the easy work, like, sending an email out or a phone call throughout the day. But you've done most of the work during your peak hours. And then set the proper boundaries with your team, with those around your home. Say, hey, I'm going to be available every Sunday from this moment to this moment. I'm going to be available on Mondays. This is when we can talk one-on-one. This is the moment. Set those clear boundaries for yourself and for your team. And then nurture your network. Trust the people around you to take the load off of you. Trust the people around you to take on ideas. And remember, listening to those people so that it's not just your ideas they're carrying out, but it's some of the vision that has been set on their lives too. And then also mentors, leaders, role models, take the time to schedule moments to connect with them, because the more we are poured into, the more we have to pour out to others. And finally, one of the greatest lies of leadership is the idea that we think we can do it all by ourselves. Like, it's all about us. We have to do it alone. But God designed us for partnership. Number 1, God is our greatest partner. He's called us to invite him into the partnership, into his presence. I remember speaking to a business leader, and he said he always reminded himself that Jesus was his business partner. Every decision he had to make, every time he had to think through a new way of doing things for the business, he engaged God with it. Remember, Jesus, you have the best business partner on earth. Jesus is your business partner. He is there for you. He has made way for you to lean on him. And when we have the Holy Spirit, he is able to help us engage in new ideas, in innovative ways to solve your problem. God has 1,001 ways to solve one of your problems. So lean on him, embrace the partnership you have with God, and then embrace the people he's put around you to trust, whether that's your spouse, children, co-workers. Embrace them and lean into those partnerships. Do not think you have to do this by yourself. So just remember, you are not created to carry it all. You are created for relationship, and you are created for rhythm. This week, I challenge you. Think about what relationships that you can leverage to bring in alongside you to accomplish some of those things that you believe that will really move the needle in your life, in both your personal and your work life. And then how can I readjust my schedule so that I can rest first and work later? Think about that. We are created and crafted for this rhythm. So I want to invite you to practice it with me. That's something I do regularly, and it's been incredibly transformative for my life. If this episode has been helpful for you, I want you to send it to a friend. I want you to hit that notification bell and make sure that you're one of the first to get these episodes. Leave me a comment. Talk to me about, okay, what does it mean for work-life balance? How has this helped you? How have you been navigating this thing? Has it been difficult? We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on our socials. If you can follow me on my socials at I am Saint Phard on Instagram, would love to hear from you. Would love to connect with you as well. Please send this to a friend. Let them know. Let's build this community of leaders, dreamers, change makers. Let's dive deep together. Thank you for watching The Deep Dive. See you next week.
This is The Deep Dive with Jose St. Phard.